thought maybe you guys just were like,
Don't reuse.
it has to
They
be.
just can't see us.
No, they can't see us.
We can see them and they can see everything we're
Yes.
putting on the screen. Oh, we can have
Then I'll stop making that comment. The only one, just
Hey, Mr. Chairman.
Everybody.
we got a,
get on insurance that's going to go to maybe March or
all
April.
right, mics are on. Can everyone online hear us? Just give us a wave.
Hold on.
Okay.
Start recording.
All right, in the room, you won't be able to see us because we can't get the camera working. So we'll have to regurgitate from looking at our faces. So we will just go cameraless until that might get working. And we can see you and you'll be able to see all the documents that get posted that we can discuss. We will go on and start our meeting. And let's go in the room and start attendance. Dorothy?
Dorothy Banashevsky, Facilities Construction.
David Brooks, Facility Construction.
Marquise Canyon, construction.
Jamal Court.
Holly Hahn, Office of the General Counsel.
Michael Tubiolo, Facility Construction.
Please match.
Order.
Barbara Myers, Construction Purchasing.
Michael Cork.
Hannah Montoya, Facilities Construction.
Julie Edwards, DLR Group.
Alberta Woodsmith.
John Levinson, Rel Enterprises, representing Ziskovich Architects.
Mario Rodriguez, Beck Group.
James Campbell, Chief Operating Officer.
Ben Guanella, Purdle Construction.
Paul Stevens with Vertex Construction.
Brianna Walker with the Whites Company.
Caitlin Bowser with the Whites Company as well.
Okay, thank you. Go ahead and staff, get us online, people. And now,
Alexander. Bruce Alexander, present. Good morning.
John Cheshire,
Present, thank you.
Kevin Wilkinson,
Present. Good morning.
Lisa Revis.
You said here.
Yeah, I heard it really.
Michael Gelfand,
Present.
Michael Guida.
Is he online?
usually always.
Tom Berger. Here. Virginia Parrish.
Present.
Christopher Tompkins.
Michael,
He has an absence, excused absence.
Michael Guida is here via phone.
Okay. All right, Mike, thanks.
That's who the phone number is. Okay.
All right, staff, that's got everybody?
Yes.
Okay.
Any board members? Any board members?
I didn't see if she was on. Sorry.
Gloria.
No, I don't think so.
Sanchez?
Okay. This chairman's report, I have really nothing to report. So next item, anyone with a conflict of interest today for anything we're going to review or has been approached by a lobbyist, which must be disclosed. All right, hearing none. For the agenda, anyone have a rule?
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
this is Michael Gelfand. One question for council on this. With reference to the Wellington signal item, the interlocal agreement, I had provided counsel for an adjacent community. I no longer represent them. So would that be a conflict? And I did not deal with the district or this issue at all for that representation, the signal.
Yeah, based on those representations, Mr. Gelfand, it's my opinion you don't have a conflict.
All right, thank you.
Thank you for the disclosure.
Okay, any changes or additions to the agenda by anyone? All right, agenda is accepted. Public comments, any public comments? Seeing none, let's go down our consent agenda. FC1,
Yes.
is that Virginia? Okay, I also wanted that.
Gelfand also.
Okay, anyone else? Okay, FC2. FC3. FC4. FC5. PC1. And PC2.
Wow. Move the items forward that have not been pulled.
I always feel like a bingo ball caller when I call this out. All right.
We had a motion.
Yeah, Virginia, go ahead. Give us your motion.
She did.
I did.
Oh, okay. Need a second on that.
Second.
Second by Franz. And any other comments?
I just out of abundance of caution, and Holly, let me know if this is inappropriate, just on FC3, the interlocal, I'm just going to abstain, accuse my abstain. Is that appropriate, or do I then defile at that point?
I defer to you, and so I have no objections to you abstaining from voting.
Yeah, let me do that, just in abundance. But otherwise, I would vote in favor of the motion.
Okay, that's our second. Go ahead, staff. Paulus?
Bruce Alexander,
Yes.
David Porter,
Yes.
Franz Mockerville.
Yes.
Kamald,
Yes.
John Chester,
Yes.
Kevin Wilkinson,
Yes.
Lisa Ravis.
Yes.
Michael Gelfand,
Yes, with the exception of FC3.
Michael Guida,
Yes.
Tom Berger,
Yes.
Virginia Parrish.
Yes.
Okay, just a question. He says FC3, but I think he means FC5.
Correct. Thank you.
Wellington, yes.
Okay, because I was wondering how can somebody just abstain? And I didn't think we could, but it's because of the potential.
Right,
Right, understood.
and we still have a quorum, so.
Yes. All right, Virginia, why don't you start us off on FC1?
Well, okay. I noticed that the all the change orders for Forest Hill Media Center, Forest Hill High School Media Center were all separate. You know, what are 5 of them or so? And I'm curious as to why they're not grouped together, why they're separated. Was it because of the amounts and who was able to delegate the delegation approvals?
No, it had to do with the different vendors involved. Originally, with most of the vast majority of those, we were going to procure that separately. We have a camera vendor, we have a card reader vendor, we have a cabling vendor with the district. We decided to roll those into this project since we had the contractor there. So that's why they were ended up being separate line items in it.
Because you do say that they're connected to each other.
Yes.
So,
They're somewhat related, but they're different vendors.
okay. And for the Boynton Beach High School Media Center, you have just the raceway and not all the other components.
Correct. We ended up still purchasing the cameras or the card readers ourselves and installing those. So in that, we did those two projects a little bit different.
I see. And then my final question is on the Forest Hill number 17, the AI phone. I'm going to assume that that's not artificial intelligence.
No, it's just a camera phone is what it is, where you can see a visual. Yeah.
Okay. What does AI stand for?
We don't know. It's actually a phone, and I don't know why we don't pronounce the I when we actually say the name of the vendor, of the company that manufactures it. It's always been known as an A phone, but it's spelled AI phone, and I'm not even sure if maybe our contractors know, but
okay.
they're giving us the no, but they have no idea either. We all just buy it.
We just go with it.
Okay. Are we going to be seeing any more of these high school COs coming up and changes within?
Well, the media centers, yeah, good. Michael.
We definitely have more media center project coming forward, but we ended up wrapping the school police and IT review into the documents themselves. So there may be some minor stuff coming forward. There may be one more that we didn't catch up yet. But this happened to be caught in the transition. We weren't having school police. What we were doing is we were building a media center and then coming back and doing a school police project for cars and cameras separate from that. And we said, wait, we already have the vendor there. Let's roll it into the project. So that's why these are caught in that transition period where they did a change order. So going forward, it's wrapped into the design. Same for the branding part of it too.
And for Ms. Ferris, as you're familiar, we have a high school media center upgrade program.
Right.
And so what you're seeing now is that first group, I guess, the first 4, 6.
Fourth group, yeah.
What's that? Yeah, we had done some before. We're now on a group. I think we have 2 more groups of 4 or 6 to come. And those are the ones he's referring to. Those schools will all have everything work into the original design so that we will be covering those costs. We just won't have them as change orders. They'll be built in the original design.
I appreciate that. And I understand why you're needing so many cameras. There are so many smaller rooms in these media centers.
Yes.
So
Yeah,
thank you.
Yes, we just recently had a conversation on that exact subject. How what might be considered a small media center could warrant the need for so many, and there is justification. There's valid points behind them.
Right, I understand that. Thank you very much.
Michael Gelfand.
So to follow up on the media centers, because it looks like the expense on this, putting together all of the different items here, it's well over $100,000. So if I'm hearing correctly, we will not be seeing change orders like this again. This is going to be part of the project scope to begin with.
It is, with the one caveat, we may have one other in this group that had these changes. I have to check with the project manager, but all the ones going forward, yes, would not have it as change orders.
And we now have someone on staff who is looking at the security efforts so that we don't have change orders coming down the line, or at least any significant ones like this.
Yeah, and again, this work was going to be done as a separate item through our security group. We have a whole group that does security projects, card readers, cameras at schools, and they were going to do this project. It just made sense to do it all in one to avoid some. It's just easier, it costs less. There's a lot of benefits to doing it in the project. So,
and it's disruptive to that space. If we go in and close down the media center for 6 months to do the project, the enhancement project, and then we come back 6 months later and start doing some camera work, that piece is disruptive to the students that are trying to use a media center. So it just made more sense to try to roll those things in together. And as you can imagine, it's a function of communication. I feel like we're doing a better job of working with, and this is symptomatic of our improvements. We're trying to make sure that the communication out to the other departments has gotten better, so they know what's going on these projects ahead of time.
Did I hear correctly? We have our own group now internally within the district that does the installation, or what there's a reference to?
Yes and no. We have, for our large projects, we outsource that installation. For the onesie twosie kind of stuff, we do that internally. So depending on the case, but we do have our own group that runs all the security projects.
That means they hire the vendors, they make sure the progress is being made, help them through the process of getting permits and whatnot.
Are those projects being bid?
Yes. So we have, depending on the case, depending on the vendor, but for instance, our camera vendor, we go and walk it with 3 different vendors that are on contract. They give us quotes, and then we go with the low bid. So there is a competitive process for everything that we do. Yeah. And
the camera vendor, is that also the same one that does the cable runs, or is that separate?
Sometimes there's one vendor that does cameras and card readers. There's other that just do one of those. So depending on the vendor themselves, what services they offer.
All right. Well, I'm looking forward to not seeing these types of changes coming through.
Us too.
I appreciate the follow-up and whoever submitted the questions on them on repetitive items. So, for example, on number 5, the ground fault on the water coolers. I think this is the 3rd time We've seen these come through after the fact, it seems.
Yeah, so the one thing to remember is we have so many projects in the pipeline that, we update the master spec and then we update our procedures, but we have all those projects still in process that have to get caught up to that before it's in effect. So there are always going to be some stragglers that, didn't get caught till in construction.
So that's now part of the new outline and checklist.
Yeah, and we actually released our new master spec in January this year, which catches all the updates. We send those out individually, but as a holistic approach, we send them out every 3 years. So.
All right. With reference to number 8, what is TEC warehouse, by the way?
That's the district supply warehouse.
What does TEC stand for?
Nobody.
Nobody knows.
You could see the camera in the room. We're all looking at each other like, I don't even know.
Joe Sanchez is here too, and he goes, I don't know.
All right, well, this is a good dress rehearsal then for questions for when you folks all go live. I presume it's a district facility.
Yes, it is. It's a purchasing warehouse. That's
on Australian Avenue in Riviera Beach.
Yeah, we all refer to it as the Australian warehouse.
I see. So, it's roughly $10,000 per door. These are replacements, so we're not talking about structural changes. Even for a hurricane-proof door, that just seems to be very expensive.
Not really. I'm doing it on 2 warehouses right now, Michael, and you could double that number.
All righty, I'll pass on that then. I'm glad I'm not thinking garage doors or things like that. Last but not least, this wall banding that's coming through. I presume this is an education change that they're adding.
It's actually school branding, I believe. It's kind of like logos and marketing for the school. Yeah.
But who's authorizing this? Is this on a school by school basis by the principal, or is this part of the education criteria?
So the principal kind of comes up with the design, but there is an approval process to make sure it's appropriate for the school that they have to run through.
Alrighty. When we do it after the fact, are there any additional costs other than the applique that goes on?
Now, most of the wall branding efforts are standalone items. It's not anything that takes a lot of effort on the part of the vendor, whether we ordered them in the beginning as part of the design or as an afterthought. They're generally the same cost. These are some of the items that are virtually have no impact on what time they're ordered. I assume that's where you're referring to. Are we paying a premium for a change order? Yeah, no, we're paying the same price whether we ordered them. We are now.
One thing I'd ask is, as these mount up and we have them across the board, are folks cognizant at the school level and at district budgeting of what the cumulative expense is going to be? I mean, if we do this for each school, we're now talking, hundreds of thousands of dollars on this, and it does add up for something that we have never had before. All right, I understand, in some areas the desire for aesthetic changes, but we used to have students doing murals on walls, and that would be in essence their branding for each school. I question the budget impact on this, but if this is something that the education department is saying that they need, I'm willing to defer to that, at least at this point.
Ms. Branch.
I just wanted to let you know I was here. She always asked me to let me know. I knew you were having technical problems. I'm leaving the chamber breakfast. I just want to let you know I was here.
Okay, thank you. Tom Berger.
Well, I'm really interested in this TEC. What's held in that warehouse?
Janitorial supplies, paper products.
Furniture?
No furniture. Any redistribution is not a thing anymore.
Technology and something center.
That's what I thought. It was Technology Education Center or something like that.
The Chuck Shaw is called the Chuck Shaw TEC Center. It's the Technical Education Center, but I don't know that that applies to this.
Okay, that's enough of that. But I was just curious, you know.
The paper enterprise center.
I managed the warehouse and I didn't even know it was called TEC Warehouse until this project came up and I saw TEC Warehouse on. I'm like, wait, that's Australian warehouse. I had no idea it was called TEC.
We'll have staff research and give us a follow-up on that for next meeting.
We're gonna rename it.
I was just gonna say we rename it.
And Mr. Gelfand, we are, when it comes to the logoing, we can appreciate that. And as you say, we on the facility side, generally, we follow along. We do take the lead from the education group because I will say, the marketing of our schools, there used to be a day when schools were just there and yeah, that's where you went to school. Now we are making a much bigger effort across the board, whether it's the education side or the facility side, to try to be the best choice. We are trying to be the best choice for everybody. And I can certainly acknowledge that our efforts to put these rebranding pieces together are part and parcel with the district's intent to make sure we're getting everybody we can, show that we're the best, that we're not only do we have the best teachers and the best academic programs, but we also have the best facilities that look the nicest, are always the cleanest, right? All those things are all melded into one. So we will be judicious, as you say, with the expenditures. We do feel that, collectively, I think the district as a whole feels strongly about that message. That we want to be that great image.
Mike Guida, you had a question.
Oh, I wanted to piggyback on Mr. Gelfand's great questions that he asked. Appreciate that. So my question is regarding the media centers moving forward, when you're going to incorporate the camera designs and data cabling designs in the new projects, who's developing the camera locations at that point to assist the engineer or architect in that layout?
So our school police department has plan reviewers that actually suggest locations for all the cameras. And then we have a project manager dedicated to run the project.
So that's still the same for the exterior cameras as the media center.
Same team.
Gotcha. All right.
And it's a matter of
been working well.
That's as I said earlier, I think our focus is better communication. Yeah. Tell them ahead of time, those right people that know how to design it, make sure they're involved early on. So
a couple questions I had. How does somebody look at 21 cameras at the same time?
It's more for after the fact. Okay. You can go back and do diagnostic.
Okay.
Like Ms. Ferris said, there's a lot of corners in a media center and places to hide. So there's a deterrent also when you have a camera there that there's a deterrent for bad behavior. So it's kind of twofold.
Okay. Can you go to number 5? I had a question still on that.
Mr. Gelfand raised his hand.
Yeah, I know. Mike, I'll get you in a minute. Number 5. Yeah, I understand that was let's say a GMP estimate. But I think our write-up should tell us that next time. It made it seem like this was the actual cost instead of saying estimate. I didn't see anywhere in there where it told me that was, that's our best guess at which it will not exceed.
Understood.
And then for number 12, kind of still didn't get my answer back. We had to yank out Cat 5 cable because 6A was required. Was the Cat 5 in there for the last 10, 15 years, or was it incorrectly installed now and had to be removed and replaced?
No, it's old. It's
Fine, that's all I needed to know.
It's old. Yeah.
I'm gonna make sure we weren't paying for somebody's mistake of putting Cat 5 in when they shouldn't have.
It's been there for 20
All right,
years.
Michael Gelfand.
As a follow-up on the cameras and their purposes, I would suggest that someone just confirm with whoever's making the decision-making that the storage media is for an appropriate length of time and appropriately transmittable to other components for playback purposes, and that the cameras have accurate resolution and timestamps. We've seen in communities where those specifications seemingly get sloughed over, and the result is either no recording that's there at the time we need it, or it's not up to the resolution we need. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah. School police, they are very, very knowledgeable, very up to date on the technology, and everything that gets installed, they view it from that exact perspective that you referred. They need to make sure that everything is running smoothly, perfectly at all times, so they have the best images possible.
Loading my comments with lots of euphemisms, and trying to be careful here. We've seen a lot of after the fact changes from them, and I am saying this because someone needs to ask the questions at a higher level to make certain it's actually getting done. Thank you.
Okay. Anything else by anyone on FC1? Need a motion to go forward then.
I do have one other comment before I make the motion.
Go ahead, Virginia.
I believe David said that there's nothing but putting up the logos or whatever on the walls. But I think I did read at one where they have to change some electrical outlets in the wall. So sometimes there is some other work that needs to be done.
Yeah, that's an existing electrical outlet. So that was like an ancillary part of that, of installing some of the graphics, but we wouldn't have to do that either way. Yeah.
Yes, I just wanted to mention that sometimes it does require something more than just putting up the logo.
Gotcha.
That's my comment. All right, I moved this item to go forward.
Need a second?
Second.
Second by Franz. Any other comments or questions? Staff?
Alexander?
Yes.
David Porter?
Yes.
Franz Makavou?
Yes.
Jim Auld?
Yes.
John Cheshire?
Yes.
Kevin Wilkinson?
Yes.
Lisa Ravitz?
Yes.
Michael Gelfand?
Yes.
Michael Guida?
Yes.
Tom Berger?
Yes.
Virginia Parrish?
Yes.
All right, we are down to staff updates already.
Staff update. Well, I'm gonna take the easy one and wish everyone a wonderful Thanksgiving. We do appreciate on our side that we do get a week off. And I say that knowing that there's a bunch of SPAs that are around or watching, and they don't actually get the week off. They may be off, but there's a lot of work that goes on. It's one of our big times. We get 9 days to get a lot of work done. A lot of the contractors that are in here with us. So we do appreciate all that you're doing. And my only other item, which I'm going to actually leave for you, I assume you would want to mention, is that Mr. Sanchez was our leader in the OPEX conference. And I'm sure, Michael, you might want to.
I was going to defer again, but
Earlier this week, great event at Atlantic High School, and a lot of good information came out of it.
Yeah, we actually did this years ago. We used to call them the best practices and lessons learned conference, and so we continue. We kind of rebranded it. Now it's called the OPEX conference, and this was our fourth time doing this one. Actually, within over 3 years, because we did 2 in 1 year. Like I said, we had about 200 people there. contractors, architects, engineers, district staff, principals, students there, and then just a good opportunity. Thank you, Mr. Porter, for sitting on our panel with our students and just sharing information about how we can become better. So I want to thank all the sponsors for that event. Make that possible. We had a very nice lunch with Mission Barbecue, and recognize our veterans as well. So and don't want to go past that too quickly either, because we're very appreciative of the efforts of our veterans to make sure that we have the privilege to be able to sit here today and talk about these things, right? So again, we'll continue to do things like that to make sure we're getting better. We take a lot of the lessons learned from the things that we talk about here at CORC and share those with our contractors and architects, so we can incorporate those and do a better job going forward. So you guys are always welcome to attend those. We'll do it again probably next November as well, and continue, like I said, just working on processes and informing our community what we're trying to do to get better.
Okay. Wow. All right. You guys must not be doing anything. In progress work.
Okay, can you guys pop that up on the screen?
Oh, I'm sorry. Removing the call at the bottom.
Or did we have a question? I thought somebody, did I
No,
hear
it was
somebody?
it's a meeting announcement I thought that popped onto the screen.
Okay. All right, well, while they're working to put the presentation on the screen, I will, as I always say, talk way too much. So I'm going to just kind of skim over a lot of the actions. This is our traditional monthly, guys, it's under 4.02. 4.02. There you go. That's the file. Open the PDF. Cast that one if you could. Okay. Assuming everyone can see the slides on there. I don't know who's driving for me.
I'm going to share the screen.
Present.
Yeah.
Okay.
There you go.
All right. Go ahead and start driving for me. Here's our monthly update on how much revenue we've accrued and how much we've spent and our participation.
Our goal for small business was what, 30%? Remember? 20%?
20% subcontractors, 15% subconsultants.
And we've been getting 66%?
Yeah.
Wow.
On our designers.
Okay.
And then even on our contractors and our
still way over what's the minimum requirement. Good.
And again, a huge shout out. I mean, I don't mean to plug in the other guys, but Patrick Pursom and the small business department, their outreach is incredible. They really do a great job with a lot of our contractors and even our professionals, designers, to really try to beat the bushes and get the community involved. And I think it's been this is a perfect representation. We've had a lot of work over the last 8+ years, is it almost 9 years? So well done for that team, and well done to our contractors for getting the folks involved. This next slide, of course, is our, I'm not going to go through them, but you can see the difference between the CCNA ones and the RFP projects coming up. This is a slide for the CORC members to let them know what items we anticipate coming forward for your review in coming months. Next, okay, I'm going to skim over a lot of these. These are all of the, if you really want to know what's happening, I know we don't really do much around here, but if you really want to see what's happening, these are a lot of the items that we're working through. Anywhere from starting projects up to getting them under design and then moving them towards construction. Keep going. And now we're into construction. Our facility renewals. you can slide through the next, I think it's 4 slides. These are all the breakdowns for what's been going on in each of the facility renewal projects. And then I've got some photos after that. Oh gosh, or 6. I'm sorry about 6. And there's some photos of the common work that we've been getting done in these schools. I really do like that playground game. Apparently, we're painting games on the concrete too. So, okay, moving on. We've got our the last modernization. It's the last modernization that we have as part of this referendum, and it really wasn't even part of the referendum. Is our West Riviera Elementary modernization? You can see the project is got quite a bit. Well, scroll onto the arrow, you'll see that a lot of the work is pretty well on. So we've got we're now getting into some site work, getting the site prepped, but a lot of the interior work is well underway, nearing completion. Okay, our next project up is, and as we've said, West Riv will be open for August. So, and knock on wood, will be open well ahead of time. So we'll be able to tour that school. Next one up is Rise Academy. That's formerly the South Intensive. That's the site located, the old South Tech campus. Also well underway. A lot of the interior work is progressed nicely. You'll see that the white roofs on the top there in that photo is the area. That's called Building 2. Building 1, the building on this bottom piece, is potentially going to be demolished at some other time when we do our transportation project, which is adjacent to this whole site. Go ahead. Handful of the interior photos that are being built out. So they are coming along. I think that's Gary's projects coming along with Historic Roosevelt Full Service Center with Pirtle. This is the phase 1, as we refer to it, and this is the new classroom, 2-story classroom building, technical education building, as well as a shop building and rehabilitation of the gymnasium. Again, it's also moving along quite well. Got a couple of hangups that we're working through, getting power over to the brand new building from the building under renovation. You can see the gymnasium wide open there on the bottom. So, and that's where our power source is. So that's where we're getting that rerun over to the new buildings.
They're an estimated.
So that's what they're doing on Tamarind right now.
Yes.
Okay, I got it.
Is there an estimated move-in date?
Yeah, this spring we're going to move into the 2 buildings and then the gym will follow up later on.
So by August, they'll be starting classes in the new buildings?
In the spring.
The adult ed doesn't follow our schedule.
Okay.
And they're coordinating with Fred Barch about his timing, but I don't know that offhand, but it doesn't exactly align with our school schedule.
And knowing Fred, the moment I have a space open, he is going to have classes in there. There'll be something funny. He's a very, very strong leader on the adult ed programs.
Okay.
And yes, Francis, you were mentioning, you'll see the back, the bottom on that photo is where we're working, the phase 1, those 3 buildings on the bottom. Up on the top is that which the existing school
He's right now.
right on Tamarind. And that is what we're referring to as phase 2. And that project is well under design. We're partnering with the Community Foundation to build a museum and a media or library in that front area. Yet still keeping the original 2 buildings, the historic buildings along Tamarind. There you go. You can see those.
Awesome.
That'll be some time ahead. We've got a little while before we get to that. So go ahead, Slav. Okay. Village Academy kitchen expansion. I think this is early on in the stage. I think last month I was referring to demolition on Go ahead. So it's just getting started with a kitchen expansion. I think we took the weight room for kitchen expansion. Minor projects, Dorothy, David, Marquise, they don't do anything. Minor projects. Yeah, believe it or not, this is the highlight of what we do. I always try to stress that the work they do on our big projects, on our facility renewals, are really important to each and every one of the schools. But some of the biggest impacts are on these minor projects, whether it's a parking lot or ADA violations that are being remedied. They're actually helping out. And of course, the big ones, the roofs, marquees, modular relocations. Okay. Next slide. Long list of projects, and those are just highlighting some of the big ones. Our baseball, softball field lighting out in Pahokee. Walk-in coolers. Highland roof projects still ongoing. And that is it for me. Are there any questions?
Yes, this is Virginia. I have a question. If Chris Garrison is still on the call. Chris, are you there? Ms. Garrison? I see her.
Yeah.
The question is, as we finish the new school, I was notified I was reappointed to the Boundaries Committee, but we have not had a meeting. And how are we going to be on schedule to fill that school?
You're referring to the Westlake Elementary School that is currently under design and should be starting construction in early spring?
No, I was told that there was going to be boundary changes this cycle.
Ms. Garrison, go ahead.
Virginia, we typically start the boundary cycle the fall before the school is going to open, right after we get the FTE count for that fall, so that we have the most recent demographics that we're working with on our boundary studies. So you will be convened next fall to do the boundaries for the Westlake School.
All right, so there's no boundary changes this term, even though I was told that the boundary committee was coming back into being.
Yeah, we thought there might be a few minor ones, such as the Riviera Beach changes to align with the grade reconfiguration. But I can double check with Jason, and I think those might be on this cycle, Virginia.
Yes, well, I just haven't been notified, and I just thought since you're on the call, I'd take advantage of asking you my question. Thank you.
Certainly, that's why I'm here, Virginia.
Yeah, just to add to this is Joe. We do need to do a boundary change for West Riviera and Bethune and probably in Washington Elementary in connection with that reconfiguration. So not to be confused with the Westlake one. Westlake will be next year's boundary cycle, but this year we do need to do it for those couple of schools. And there may be a few others that we're looking at as we look at the feeder patterns for those elementary and middle schools.
So it will be late this year.
You'll be notified shortly. So we'll find out exactly what the dates for those are.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much.
Okay. The boundary changes that were made for Saddleview, they have worked out?
Yeah, I mean, it's worked out well. I mean, Saddleview ended up with more students than anticipated, only because, every time we open up an elementary school, we give the fifth graders a chance to stay at their remaining school along with siblings. And a lot more of them came over to Saddleview than we anticipated. But that's okay. We're still not overcrowded. We're in the 600s around, and we're built for 900 students, 900 plus. So we're in good shape.
Okay. All right. Follow up. I think Joe, you're up on that one. Yes?
Perhaps.
I think that was noted on follow-up that Mr. Sanchez was returning to talk about local preference.
Items. One was the policy revisions, and then
I thought we had policies.
Yeah, policies down on 5.
Right. I mean, technically, we had a separate line item for policies, even though it was mentioned in follow-up. So
Which one is first?
You can go.
Right here,
Okay.
policies, and then you can go with either order.
Go one or two.
Go with you, Joe.
Okay. All right. So I just wanted to follow up on the conversation about local preference. So I've had several conversations with leadership, being superintendent, other chief of the district, and the superintendent talks to the board members to get their feedback as well. So at this time, the board is in leadership is not prepared to move forward, wants to move forward with a separate or a change to the local preference procedures. I also have had conversations with the associations that represent the union. They represents the contractors, the major contractors here in Palm Beach County. And although, I've had several conversations with individual contractors and even the designers, and some of them are want a local preference and some of them don't. The representation from their leadership is that they don't want a local preference. And the issue is that they'd rather not have barriers to allow that would prevent their members from participating in other counties as well. They don't want barriers that prevent them from participating in Broward or Miami or St. Lucie or Martin County. So even though there are some current preferences in other counties, their effort is really to try to get those other counties to remove those barriers instead of adding more barriers that kind of like have a nuclear proliferation where everybody's trying to destroy each other's opportunities. So that combination of opinions and viewpoints leads us to not want to pursue any further. If court members feel like that we should have some kind of more conversations about this, really it's not on district staff or on CORC to determine what the policy is. It's really, it really is the board members that will determine what that is. A board member can bring this up as a discussion item and get their opinions from their other board members. And really it needs to be a majority of the board members that says, okay, now staff bring back something that is comports to what the majority of board members want, and then we'll vote on that. But it wouldn't be appropriate for me as a staff person or it's honestly CORC to determine what those policies should be. It has to come from the board.
Yeah, no, Joe, I appreciate, I was thinking about the label of mutually assured destruction on this. But and another way to put it, and the way that we do it frequently in contracting, is an MFN, a most favored nation provision. If your county has restrictions, so will we. If your county deletes them, then we will also. If this moves forward, I'm just suggesting that as a methodology. And of course, Ms. Hammond, legal staff probably has something to say if it gets raised. Thank you.
John Cheshire.
Yeah, regarding the comment that they don't want to set up barriers. The barriers already exist. Miami-Dade and Broward already penalize Palm Beach County firms from working in those two counties, penalized by points in the selection process. And regarding making policy, I'm not suggesting that CORC.
They just asked me a question.
I heard somebody talking.
Sorry.
That you were talking to mix.
Mute Chris Garrison. There you go.
Good thing you're working, huh?
Mm-hmm.
I'm not suggesting that CORC determines the policy, but if you look at the policy that was just revised regarding what our role is, it says the Construction Oversight and Review Committee exists to assist the school board by oversight and review of and making recommendations, and will report its advice and recommendations to the school board in key areas as they relate to facilities management, including selection process for architects, engineers, and contractors. So I think it's still important that we review the policy and make a recommendation to the board.
Yeah, I don't see any problem with CORC taking a vote that says that we would like the board to consider this or do that, but it's, it's not, ultimately it's going to be the board's decision. But, if you guys are experts and the board made it clear that they clearly depend on you guys for your expertise. So I don't see any problem with, like I said, a majority of you making that recommendation to the board.
I agree with that.
Do we still have points in our selection process, the local office?
We do. We have, I think it's 2 points that on both the CM and the dark design side.
But that's somewhat, it's very weak, but it's somewhat of saying, we want you here or set up an office here,
No,
don't
David,
have an office. Go ahead, John.
David, excuse me. No, that's not correct. A firm from Miami-Dade, Broward, also gets 2 points.
The locals consider all 3 counties.
Yeah, locals.
Oh, right. That's true.
Except for the tie breaking. There is a tiebreaker that gives points for just Palm Beach County firms. But that's, once there's a tie.
There's a sentiment among some, and again, there's a lot of different opinions about this issue. There's a reason why we're in this position today. And Jim, you probably have some opinions as well. There are some that think that the more you favor one over another, in this case, favor Palm Beach over other, you may end up with a selection of a firm that may not be the most qualified because they didn't get the most points because, a Palm Beach County firm got the points versus a Broward or Miami firm that may have been more qualified for a particular project. So there's some people that have that opinion. I'm not saying that's my opinion, but some people feel that way. There's some that feel that having preference for local may in fact drive up costs because the local firm will think that they have a corner on the market. Again, I'm not giving that. That's not Joe Santos' opinion. I'm just saying, I'm sharing with you some of the conversations that I've had with other people as well. So it's not a slam dunk one way or another. I was a contractor for a number of years here in Palm Beach County and in South Florida in general. And, there were times when I felt like, I lost a project because somebody else got points that I couldn't qualify for. And that happens. But, like I said, I try to make sure that if the board is going to give an opinion, that they have the knowledge and the information, the feedback from both sides of the issue, all sides of the issue, because maybe more than 2 sides of the issue, and that they make an informed decision. But like I said, I think that if there is a go forward basis on it, then let CORC bring that up as a body to the board and make that policy decision.
John, the way I look at it is we want the most qualified. And, if that means it's a Miami firm over a Palm Beach County firm, and they're the most qualified, even though they have to drive further, I think that's what we should be striving for, not getting the Palm Beach County firm because they got a few more points on the selection process.
Well, of course, there's major points associated with if a firm is qualified or not. I just personally find it highly unlikely that this local would tip the scale that much between what is deemed a qualified firm and one that is not qualified or most qualified, I guess. It's I don't want to say it's for show or it's not important, but I think it sends a message that we want our local firms to get the work here in Palm Beach County.
Okay, Michael.
The concept of the most qualified bidder is absolutely valid. With that said, the numeric formula that we have, or the grading process, just like grading students, the difference between a 95 and a 98 usually is not readily apparent, and it adjusts from time to time, and particularly the nuances of the evaluator, which is why generally for grading purposes, we use A, B, C as opposed to, pass moving forward on the raw arithmetic scores. to the extent that there is a policy justification for local, and there is a slight advantage, then I can see the benefit of utilizing that, because, you know, in reality, the difference between someone who gets a couple of extra points on the overall score is negligible, and there really is no difference between the two. Again, I understand the justification when they are so close. We have to have some way of making a determination and differentiating. But once we're in that group, you know, it's hard to actually differentiate, and having the local tip the balance may be justified. Thank you.
Okay. Oh, yes, Jim.
So, Joe, you know, we've been on this for many years. There's, you know, I've had to deal with this on both sides. I've been with firms in Broward and Miami. I've been with firms here in Palm Beach County. It seems like Palm Beach County has had a open door policy in general, and everybody comes here to work. And you go to Broward and Miami-Dade, and it's very restricted. There's strong penalties for Palm Beach County firms going south. If you don't have an office in one of those counties, you know, you're facing distinct, even in the bidding arena, up to 5-10% of penalties when a Palm Beach County firm goes down there to bid. So having lived on both sides of this, on a personal level, I think that it's important as CORC, we understand that the people who pay taxes here in Palm Beach County should have a preference on getting work in Palm Beach County on the work that's put out here. That's just my opinion. I've had to deal with this on both sides, and you wind up with local firms, you know, getting edged out by firms that are not from here on a regular basis, down south. And then here, you know, you have small businesses also that are local, and they're getting edged out by small businesses from Broward. So, because we don't have protections here for our people. I think the AGC has typically been against any barriers. I think you were talking about that as a preference, but that's largely created probably not by the building side, but it's more in that civil side, because the big civil contractors don't want to be prohibited from working in Miami-Dade and Broward. So it's a hard problem, and the guys who've grown up here and lived here for 35 years have had to deal with essentially a preference for allowing others to come here and have lunch.
Okay, well, it sounds like CORC, we're not going to get someplace right now unless we kind of come up with something that gets sent to the board as part of our report to state, you know, a majority opinion. Other than that, it's just going to ride the way it is and not have a Palm Beach County preference. So is there anything someone wants to bring up? Yeah, John.
Well, as Joe suggested, why don't we take a vote among CORC members to see if this is a majority opinion of CORC?
I guess you need to put some type of motion out there for what we're actually approving. But before you do that, Kevin, go ahead. Kevin, you're up. You're muted, I think, maybe?
Yep, I'm there. Yeah.
Okay.
Isn't there any way to reach out to, we're talking about the words Mike used, most favored nation status and preferences. Is there any way for Palm Beach County to reach out to counterparts in Broward and Dade to say, boys and girls, why would you do this to ours? Your people are welcome up there. Maybe I'm being naive, but it seems to me if there's, you know, honest-minded people, why wouldn't, even if you can get one of the counties to flip, that would be helpful.
Bruce.
Hi, everybody. I just wanted to give a quick perspective on this. So for me, two sides of the equation. First, working with AGC, State General Counsel for 25 years, and also working with the school district for 15 years on the issue of local preference, reaching out to neighboring counties, trying to have reciprocity, dealing with what was then the version of favored nation status. These are all concepts that have been, in my experience, greatly discussed since the 90s. And I just wanted to give a perspective that, in terms of, hey, I think we should reach out to everybody, or hey, let's think about this. We have a lot of legislative backup on this, a lot of local voting on the issue of undertaking local evaluations to determine the viability and predicate for establishing preferential parameters. This has been, and I'm always in favor of progress, always. I just wanted to spend 2 minutes to give a historical perspective on how we've gotten to this point. So it's not been easy, and we've Palm Beach County, the school district for Palm Beach County has not been aligned with neighboring counties, whether we go north, as far north as Indian River, or as south as Monroe County. So this is, and not to mention the need or not to have an independent study to evaluate some of these things before even suggesting proposed revisions, not only internally, but to other counties. I wanted to say, in a nutshell, I'm in favor of encouraging as much healthy competition as we can, and encourage the maximum amount of use of local qualified and competence. And those are terms of art. Companies for building our beautiful schools for our children, but and I'm also open to any changes in terms of aligning any policy that Palm Beach County School District may wish to engage in for the future. Sometimes we learn a great deal by looking at the past. And I just wanted to take a moment to do that. So thank you for that opportunity. I'm glad to answer any questions if anyone has any.
Yeah, also from a historical perspective, and just to throw in some of the complexities of this, is that you can have excellent firms from Broward who have multiple, like many employees who live in Palm Beach County. So a lot of times it comes down to, where does the office reside if you've got a local business tax receipt? But you can have more people working for a firm that's not from here than a firm that's from here. So that's just one angle. Local municipalities use ranges to define local. They say, well, you have an office here, or if you have it in an adjacent city, or if you have it in Palm Beach County. All of these rules come into play. All of these kind of attempts to foster local, they all fall short somehow, because you have people who live everywhere. And it really comes down to, some people are more concerned about, where does the money go? Where does Palm Beach County taxpayers' money go? Does it go to a locally owned firm, or does it go to a firm that's somewhere else? Or are you fostering local subcontractors? Or are you fostering local employment? All of those things enter the question. So I'm not really in favor of changing a stable system at the moment, because stability, I think, is key in the industry. Just my 2 cents.
John, if you wanted to propose something, we can take a vote on something that goes to the board. Bruce, you have your hand up still?
I apologize. I forgot to take it off.
Okay, no problem.
Okay, do you want a motion or we're just going to take a vote or?
Well, I think to take a vote, we should have a motion of something that's going to go officially to the board as a suggestion or recommendation from CORC, even though I think it'll kind of be defeated at the board because Joe Sanchez has already told us kind of what the flavor is coming from leadership and the board. But we are allowed to provide our recommendations to the board for what this committee believes in. Virginia.
I've heard so many different points on this. I'm not sure I can vote on something without more background, without more study about it. But since the school board's already made its decision, I'm wondering if we're premature. Maybe, John, what we need is something on the agenda that deals with background on it, some statistics, some more information. I think what Bruce gave us over the history is very valuable and tried and what works. But as of now, I'm not sure I'm ready to vote on anything.
Well, yeah. I'll be happy to give you some more background. I did, I don't know, 6 months ago or so, but I'll be happy to present the case why a local preference would be good.
John, let's hold 1 second. I want Mr. Sanchez had something.
Yeah, I don't want to interrupt John either, but I just wanted to be clear. I don't want to give the impression that board members have been asked to give a vote, because that would be a violation of sunshine, or we have not polled the board members or anything like that in private. I'm just saying, in conversations that I've had with individual members from time to time over the last 4 years that I've been back, I haven't heard any interest in moving in that direction. So I don't want to get our board in any trouble for doing anything that may be perceived as a violation of sunshine or anything like that. So what they vote on, depending on if there's a motion does come out of this body, they may ask us to do some studies or something like that to bring back different options. And, we could still be talking about 6 months to a year before something comes to play, because as you guys have, we talked about in the past, there's a lot of nuances involved with this, whether, what qualifies as a local business, whether it's business tax receipt, whether it's the office location. One of the conversations that we've had previously as staff is that, what would it take, for example, Palm Beach County, the county, not the school district, but the county requires a local office. So who's responsible for going to investigate whether that office is a viable office and what it meets the definition of it? So there may be a need for additional staff to do that. So those kind of things, the board is going to want to hear before they make a decision on something like this. So I just, again, keep in mind, the board has not made any votes on this whatsoever. So whatever you bring is going to be considered by the full board, I'm sure.
Tom Berger?
Yeah, I think Joe's statement that it's not been advertised is important to keep into consideration. But at the same time, if we are going to have a discussion regarding this, it ought to be a discussion with knowledge, with the benefit of what John has to say, possibly at a separate meeting, but also, what's the significance of it? What is the tax input? What is the benefit to the local versus everything else? And at the same time, also, how do you verify it? Occupational licenses is how you verify it, I think. But that's just my 2 cents.
I'd like to suggest that we task John as the commander of this effort to put together, some points that at the next meeting, it can be an agenda item for CORC to review the information that you have learned about and that you know about, and your suggestions for what a potential policy could look like, and how would it be affected in the scoring system. And then I think we can all review that and have a more informed discussion as to making a motion and a vote, whether we want something to go to the board. Michael Gelfand. Michael, I think you're muted.
If I'm allowed to share my screen, I have a proposed motion not for approval today, but for us to consider, and certainly we can amend that in the future. I don't know if that's something that you want to discuss right now or not.
I don't know if we need to discuss anything right now. If John's willing to, come up with something that gives us more information than we have now, it can be on the agenda for the next meeting as a separate line item discussion.
Yeah, I think I'm in support of that. I would like to see more data in regards to this matter so we can see. The fact that Bruce said that this conversation has been going for the last 30 years, I think kind of shows us that it really needs to be considered. Okay. And it seems like some people are making some decent viewpoints on each side. And I would love to see more of it.
Michael, even though you have a motion, I don't know if we need a motion to just, if John's willing to put something together for us, it just becomes an agenda item and then we can deal with it next meeting.
Yeah, I'd be happy to do that, to put together a narrative on the benefits of local preference. Happy to do it.
I would do benefits, and if there's any negatives, let's look at both sides.
Yeah.
Okay.
And put together, even a little suggested policy for how it would be enacted. Because to me, I feel that's probably the most complicated part.
Yeah, I don't know how much I'm going to get into that. I have looked at, this was about 6 months ago, I have looked at how Miami-Dade does it. And they have some very good rules, regulations, definitions, procedures that has to be done. I'm trying to think of the word they use, about the office needs to do the majority of the work. They don't say majority, they say it's the nerve center, I think is the word they use for the project. But yeah, I can put all that together.
Good, thank you.
One way to approach that is if the bidder obtains a local preference in a county, then that shows it, regardless of what its paperwork shows. And that's what I'd be looking for. So just a thought on that.
Okay, Mr. Sanchez.
Yeah, I was just looking back at the report I gave, or presentation I gave at the October 2024 meeting, and it did show like 70% of the design work and 70% of the construction was actually already being awarded to local. But the definition of local, just to Mr. Chesler's point, does include Palm Beach, Broward, and Miami. But the majority of that was going to Palm Beach County firms. But I think it's incumbent upon staff to work with Mr. Cheshire so that we can look at the data that we have, because we have data, historical data that we can provide some perspective as well. So we'll bring that alongside with Mr. Cheshire.
Bruce Alexander.
Yes, and John, I hope you still have my same cell number, which has been in place since 1980.
No, can't talk to you. He can't talk to you separately.
I was just going to remind everyone, because I know this is a very, people are very passionate about it and everything, but you are a sunshine committee under Florida law, so you cannot communicate outside of these meetings concerning any questions you may have. I believe that the representative is David. You're the CORC representative now for them to have questions to.
Right. If they could send it to the CORC at palmbeachcountyschools.com. That's Marquise and I both have access to that.
Okay. Right. And Mr. Cheshire, and I know I don't have to remind you, but this is for everybody, that whatever documents or presentations you have, those will go to the CORC person here, so that they will get distributed to everyone. But I was actually one of the things I wanted to jump in and just remind everybody, do not speak, talk, or trade emails or anything about this particular discussion item.
Thank you. The only thing I really meant by that was that there may be impact to the revisions for local preferences that were passed by the Florida legislature effective July 1 of 2025 that may or may not impact what Dade County and other counties had in place before that date. That's really all I wanted to share.
That's wonderful. And Mr. Alexander, if you could email those to me, that would be perfect because I'm not aware of that.
Will do. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Michael Gelfand, then I want to move on.
We've created in the past subcommittees, and I don't know if that's a way that we can get the John and Bruce show, and perhaps if anyone else wants to, and they can then advertise their Zoom meetings.
Even when you have a Zoom meeting, I believe you still have to have a physical location that somebody else from the public can come to that meeting. So it would have to be a meeting set up in this building, just like we're doing now, and everybody else can then be remote.
All right.
The real quick, the revisions start with Florida Statute 287.084. And then there are references from there. So that would be, rather than placing a subsequent call or whatever, let me just share that that's where the analysis would start. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, I might just to kind of help this along. If Mr. Cheshire could send in his presentation or whatever narrative he's going to do, we could send it out to the board in advance of the meeting and not have people look at them.
That's what he meant by.
Okay.
Yeah, John will put
Follow
something
the same
together.
Deadlines that we have for posting.
Right, and then get it to you guys, and it'll go out.
So we go out just like we go out with everything else that goes out for this meeting. It'll go in the packet.
Becomes part of the agenda.
Yes.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I know you want to move on, but we have an important solicitation that's coming up in January for CM at risk continuing contracts, right? And that's going to, the benefit of that is that we're probably going to approve most of the firms that apply for that, whether they're Palm Beach, Broward, or Miami, or someplace else, as long as they're, they prove they're capable of doing some work, so we can have a library of firms that we can select from. So I don't think it's going to dramatically. I don't think the input from this is going to change that too much. I just wanted to. I don't want anybody to later come back and say, "Well, why didn't you tell us that this RFP is coming out?" Because it may have some significance at some point.
It will, but even if we said, okay, we want to do something today, there's no way we end up with a policy in place by January.
No.
We're talking about, next.
I think it's a long-term thing.
Yeah.
Show must go on.
Yeah, we have to keep building. Okay. I want to keep us moving along here. That was good discussion. Thank you, Joe.
Agenda back up.
All right, district policies.
District policies.
My biggest question is how was your presentation and all of the changes received by the board?
Okay, well, and please, between Michael and Joe, I kind of made notes of a couple of major points. Generally, they were well received. We went through both the audit committee and then to a workshop publicized. And for those of you, hopefully we're going to fix the link, but the links to they're fixed already. The board meeting and the audit committee meeting. So if you wanted to actually watch, listen, please feel free to click on those on board docs. With our workshop, it went, I don't want to say smooth because I don't know if that's the right phrase, but we talked about policy 1.093. We led off with that. And essentially all the discussions that we had with the board centered around that policy. We never really got into, not that we didn't get into, when we went through the change order policy, they were generally okay. They had already had the opportunity to voice their concerns and questions. And all the other policies, the HVAC and the retainage and whatnot, those all went through relatively smoothly with no comments. Now, some of the comments that they did make on when we talked about policy 1.093, which is the CORC policy for everybody, the first one and probably the biggest discussion, surprisingly to me, was the roles. If you recall, we had suggested to change the makeup of CORC to be 7, I don't want to say experts, but 7, I guess experts in the field, whether it's architects, engineers, lawyers, contractors, whatnot. And then 7 at large. And this was made as a suggestion by our board chair to try to help make sure that we could fill the roles. And while the discussion went, round and round, they ultimately came back to, okay, this is good. They appreciated that. What they really wanted to stress is that the at-large, the 7 at-large positions, they really wanted to see that we were putting in some language to say that they prefer them, if possible, or strongly recommend that even the at-large positions could be or should be some of these same experts. So if there's a real estate agent in one of those suggestions, but it's one of 3 choices and we don't have one, they'd say, try to get that real estate agent on as an at-large position. That's not to say, they did want to caveat and say, just because you're not in the field doesn't mean you don't bring added value. But they did want to suggest that, just because you're not an engineer doesn't mean your input would be any less valued by the committee and by the board. So that was one of the big stresses, was to try to focus on preferred people on there.
But the policy still went through with the 7 at large. And if somebody doesn't get somebody in the construction or design fields, it's fine.
They can get somebody without the expertise.
Okay.
They just want to try to have us include the language, stress to the board members. And again, they reminded everybody in the workshop, those board members will not be here in 5 years and 10 years or whatever. And they wanted to make sure that the next board members understood, please try your best to get some of these preferred experts on our team. The next topic they did touch on was security. And essentially, I'm going to say they were okay with the idea of CORC discussing the financials, because I know we've changed the draft policy to exclude some of those details. But they did feel strongly about keeping those details reserved from the public view. There was discussion by some of the board members to consider a closed session alternative. I'm going to speak on behalf of General Counsel's office. We're still looking into that because there are challenges with that as well. So
just getting another meeting together.
And it's got to be a meeting that is available to all people present. We can't control who's sitting in the background on a virtual environment. So that's something that they did still feel strongly about, that holding on to, they have no problems with us discussing the details of the finances. Were 23 cameras for $69,000. Is that reasonable? Well, that's a certain, that falls within the purview. They just, when it came to the details behind it, they wanted to keep those reserved. There was a brief discussion about CORC reviewing the items, knowing that the timelines are limited. But they did feel, as long as we did our due diligence and made sure that you were aware of the items that were going on, that was, while it may not be their perfect choice, it's understood. It's an accepted circumstance of the short 35-day time limit.
Well, it's not even just CORC's review. It's some of the power was removed from the board.
Correct.
I mean, it's now more staff approvals.
Yeah, and I don't remember if they actually discussed legislative updates. I know there was a brief mention of, well, can we go back to the legislative?
Talk about the changing the policy, changing the state statute.
35 days.
Yeah, good luck with that.
Not yet.
That's yeah. They did discuss the fact that the levels were raised, the delegated authority levels were raised in this draft. And while they initially were concerned about it, they did acknowledge that, well, the policies were established, that policy with those levels were established 15, 17 years ago or something like that, when the cost of construction was considerably less. So that these values, while supported by our outside auditor, were also more in line with current day costs. So they seem to be supportive of that. They did, some of the board members did recognize that the policies and procedures that we've been exploring with you, they've heard from their contractors and their architects and their engineers and such, and they recognize the challenges. They brought up the concept of carrying costs, that the industry recognizes those carrying costs as part of doing business with us, which is ultimately, we look at the policies and said, but these will be better for getting people paid faster. Good things. These are good opportunities. And it'll also end up saving us money in the sense that those carrying costs theoretically will go away. Well, all you nice contractors will comply and bring your prices down accordingly. But yeah, so they did recognize the need to try to improve, to try to better our system. So I think they felt supportive of that. And as I mentioned, the contingency policy went through with no comments. The HVAC and the retainage, no comments. They really just wanted to know about, how was that working out with retainage. And I think I had notes that said summary of contract changes.
That's something that we're going to bring next month to the CORC board about. We have been working on some contract changes for a while now. We're going to bring a summary to CORC to review those. So,
because just as important as the policy changes, the contract changes are what makes our business go. Right, the speed at which we can operate, the technical things that we expect of contractors in order for a change order to go through or a pay application to go through. A lot of those procedures are based on what's in the contracts, and so we've made. The team has been working on them for over a year, so long before the change order statute change. The contract changes were something that they've been working on to really try to make things a little bit smoother. So we will certainly do that, bring that forward to you next month.
Well, the contract has to be updated for dealing with the new policies, change in policies.
Correct.
Yep. Virginia.
Yes, I first wanted to thank you for the summary sheet. This made it very, very helpful. The yeses and the nos and what the changes were made. So when I could go back to the policies, the final policy, it was excellent to do it this way. I'm going to assume that then that when there's no's, these were not approved by the full board. Are the policies as you now sent them to us, have they been approved? Are they final?
Well, nothing has been approved by the board. This is the workshop policy. The workshop is the first step. Then there will be 2 public readings, one in December and one in January. The policies that you see on the CORC right now are based on the edits. And Judd, I see you have your hand raised because he's ultimately our document keeper. But they are based on the comments that we received from them, as well all of our staff recommendations leading up. The yeses and nos in that column are staff dispositions. Last month, you brought a whole bunch of comments to us. We wrote them all down. As you said, that was, believe it or not, that's my CFO was the mind who said, you know what? I'd rather have yeses and nos. Let's see if we can make it so it's clear. That's where we said, okay, we've evaluated what they had recommended. Can we do it? Can we make them? Yes. Yes, we have implemented them. Yes, we will do them. Or no, we weren't able to. Not that we didn't want to, but we weren't able to.
So the no's, if the change has not been made by staff, it's going forward the way you sent it to us.
No, correct.
Okay, correct. Thank you. Thank you.
And for contingency, my understanding is the only thing that changes for us really is that we won't get them on a monthly basis. We will get them at the end of a project. So we'll get a project by project contingency use. So if there was 50 contingency uses on Forest Hill High School, then at the closeout of that project, that's when we get the whole document of all 50 changes that were used for contingency. I suppose we'll still continue getting the monthlies for another 6 months until we start the new policy with new contracts, essentially.
Yes. And,
Because you're not going to start it right away. I mean,
For some of that, yeah.
I mean,
Which
like
part-
Roosevelt is under construction. It may have another 6 months of construction.
Right.
So for 6 months, we're still going to get monthly contingency reports because that's under the old contract, correct? Or does that have to kick in
well,
with
the
the new
moment the
statute?
contingency policy takes effect in January, theoretically, the new
Okay.
policy.
That's when we would try to implement it. We're trying to not have certain projects fall in some rules and some the others. So
Right.
we were
Right.
thinking in January, that's when we would go with everything the same way
Okay.
because it gets hard to manage.
That's
Yeah,
why my
no,
initial response
agreed.
was, of course, yeah, because I want to
No, I agree with
change
that.
midstream on
John Cheshire.
a big project.
Yeah, thank you. First, I just like to say I was disappointed that very few of the comments and suggestions from our review at the last CORC meeting were included in the final draft that went to the board. I didn't see anything with a yes and a no, but I did try to see if what comments were made. The ones that did make it in to me were just simple wordsmith corrections, nothing that I thought was really necessary, let's say. And I did watch the video of the presentation to the audit committee and the board, and it really wasn't what I was expecting in that they were not informed that CORC had areas of concern, let's call them, regarding the policy changes. There was not one word from the staff of our discussions. The two times that CORC was mentioned that I noted was, one is the board chair said that she was glad that CORC had reviewed the changes, but then there was no discussion of any of our comments. It was just presented that, yeah, we reviewed them.
Yeah, John.
And then when two members of the audit committee specifically asked if CORC had agreed to these changes, no answer was given. The question was just sidestepped. They just were not told that, no, we didn't agree to all the changes. So anyway, I think these changes weaken CORC's oversight by removing our reviews of some items, and it is what it is. The board will do what the board wants to do, and that's my comment. Thank you.
Did John get a copy? Does everybody get a copy of the yes and no's?
Yeah.
So audit committee got that also. So does the board. So I'm not sure. They see all the back and forth.
John, you're muted. You're muted.
Is that the one that's included in the agenda item under?
It is, yes.
So under where all I see is clean things.
CORC policy notes summary.
Gee, I don't see it.
4 attachments there.
The last one.
Yeah.
Oh. I see it now. Thank you. Okay, I didn't click on that one. Thank you.
Okay. So it is what it is, and the board will be accepting the policies, and we move on, and we will be looking at things more in the distant than the current.
Just one real quick question. Did you say that the board did receive the CORC policy notes summary?
And I'm going to verify that. I know that the audit committee got it.
Yeah.
Was it part of I'm trying to remember if it was part of the agenda for the board members. They may not have got that at the board meeting. They may have had that in one-on-one conversations.
Okay.
Let me verify that, okay?
Michael Gelfand.
At the bottom of page 1 of the recommendation summary, it dealt with policy 7.22 and referenced lines 288 and 290. But going back to the attachment to the agenda for 722 clean, I don't see those lines. I'm wondering what was that relating back to?
We're trying to get to the document that you're on so we can probably talk.
What were the lines?
Red line. That's what it is. There's no red line showing the deletion on what's attached to the agenda. Right.
I presumed looking at the other ones, they don't line up properly off. So I was just assuming that the line numbering in the recommendation form referred to the red line as opposed to the claim. So, but if you can point me to which one was
We're going to find it.
just there.
I'm not sure.
You're talking about 7.225, which one are you talking about?
7.22.
7.22, and it's the bottom of the summary. So it says CORC noted deletion of lines 288 to 290. Staff has reviewed the lines and still recommends the deletion. Yes.
It said when considering cumulative limits as provided in subsections 5B, deductive change orders shall be tracked separately from and not count towards the cumulative limits.
So the issue is that when you have the red line version, there's more lines.
Yeah.
So that's what lines up with that. When you get rid of all those lines, it condenses down to the clean version. The clean version, yeah, that's based on the red line, that 288.
What area of the clean version would that be?
It was section 9. Section 9, documentation required. 9, and it would have been 9C. It now, the clean version goes from 9B to 9C, where C is for each construction contract, the superintendent or designee shall blah, blah, blah. We took out the old version of C that says, when considering cumulative limits, deductive change orders shall be tracked separately from and not count towards cumulative limits.
What page are you on, Dave?
On the red line version.
Oh, you're on the red line and not a summary.
Great.
Well, it is.
So why not track them separately then?
So it gets into, sometimes when you have offsets in a change order, you'll have, deletions and additions in the same change order. And what we took that as you'd have to track all those separately and not consider that as a package. And when we do that, we'd be splitting those apart, which kind of violates the other part of the policy where we can't split things apart to avoid delegated authority. So that's why we wanted to consider them all together.
What? Yeah, but still in a change order at the bottom line, you'd have the cumulative total to avoid, atomizing each item. But by having it in the change order, identifying the individuals, then you have an idea as to actually how much is being added and how much is being subtracted. So you have a real view.
We still have that information.
Still included. The information's there. It's just not tracked separately within the change orders.
Yeah, if you took out a window and replaced it with a door, you want to have that all information in the same change order. You want to know what the credit is for the window, the upcharge is for the door. We're just saying we're going to keep that in that same document, so because they relate to one another. But with the way the policy was written previously, you would have had to have a change order, a credit change order for the as one document and for the window, and a separate document for the door. We just logically you would put them together if you were the way you manage projects.
All right.
John Cheshire.
Yeah, on that same topic, that's not exactly what it says or in practice how it's used. What it means if you have, I'm going to make some things up, change order 1, and it's for, I don't know, $500,000, and Joe can sign that one, fine. Change order 2 is for a negative $300,000. Now you look at Joe's cumulative value that he could sign, and now it's back down to $200,000. So he can sign another change order up to $200,000. So it's not within one change order. It's got to do with adding up all the change orders on a project. You can take the negative and subtract it from the cumulative limits is what it's doing.
Right, but what you may run into is you have some deletion of scope and negative change orders, and then we would exceed the overall limit of what we're allowed, because we have cumulative limits on a project of either 500,000 or $1 million, depending on the size of the project. So if we delete some scope of $500,000 on a project, then at that point, even though the project costs less, now we have to take every change order to the board, and we can't do that in the time frame. So that's why if we want to offset that, we want the total cost cumulative to not exceed that 500,000 in a positive manner, but we do want to accept credits back to go against that limit. Yeah.
No, I don't think that's the way you use it in practice. You just take that negative $500 or $300,000 change order and you put it off to the side. He can approve up to 500,000 in negatives, and he can approve up to 500,000 in positives, but you don't combine the two. Is that not right?
Yeah, go ahead, Judd. I think I know one answer, but go ahead.
Well, first of all, the delegated authority limits is the cumulative limits for each project is 500,000, but even the superintendent only has 200,000. But I just want to be clear that there's no individual can approve a $500,000 positive or negative change order the way it's set up. But to get to your point, I mean, the idea here is that if we keep that language in, now we have to track two separate versions of everything. We have to track everything that was negative, everything that was positive. And while we weren't using the old policy that way. If there was a deduct and an add on the same change order, we want to make sure that we don't violate policy moving forward. That's why we cleaned up the language. This language is not needed for what we're doing and how we're working now. This was back when cumulative limits were individual, not project-based. So having this in there is will delay and shoehorn and hamstring us, so we are trying to clean up and make sure that we're following policy and being able to do these quickly and responsibly.
Okay, anything else on policies? We will move along. It sounds like what was presented, some of our comments got in there, some didn't, and the board will go through its approval process and we will then have new policies to follow.
Again, I just want to say that as I think Dave mentioned or Michael mentioned, that we have 2 more approvals to go through. We're not looking to make substantial changes again, but if there's something that you feel like needs to be further communicated with your board member, you have the opportunity to do that, or we could deliver a message to them further as well. But I don't want you to think that any recommendation from CORC is ignored. We may not agree with it, and we'll tell you to your face that we don't agree with it, but nothing is ignored. So there's still 2 more votes that have to be made before board approves these policies.
Virginia.
Yeah, I'd just like to be sure, Joe, that they hear what CORC had to say. It appears that our comments kind of got pushed aside, not pushed aside, but not brought to their attention as CORC. This is what CORC commented on. This is what we wanted and didn't get, or this is how you decided that it shouldn't be. But I think they need to hear definitely what CORC had to say.
They definitely, I think they did. However, if we didn't amplify it enough, we'll try to do a better job of doing that. So
yes, I appreciate that. Thank you.
And just as a follow-up to Mr. Sanchez's comments, the first read of the policy that you see, the board will hear that on December 10th. It's scheduled, the first read, they're scheduled to begin at 2:00. There may be some other policies, so it's not a time certain. So if anybody wishes to attend and speak on behalf of, their feelings on the proposed changes, you are more than welcome to attend that public meeting.
But,
okay.
But it doesn't go as, they can't speak on behalf of CORC. We need staff to tell you what CORC said.
Exactly. CORC is a collegial body, so it would be for any individual CORC members that feel they want to, make the board aware of their comments. And, they certainly could, and we encourage them to attend that December 10th meeting. I just wanted to put that out there so that if anybody had the desire to address the board, they certainly could.
Okay, Jim has his hand up first.
Yeah, just going back to the local preference thing, it seems like it was set up for further discussion, but I just want to go on record as saying I'm not really in favor of opening that can of worms.
You can vote that way when
I understand
the next meeting.
But we also didn't make a formal motion to ask John to do anything. If you want John to do something, you have to make a motion.
Well, I think what's kind of happening here is John gets to, if he so chooses, anyone can bring up new business.
Okay.
As you so choose. And I think that's where.
But it wasn't a motion of the board, right?
There was not a motion
of the board. No.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's why it's just within here, nothing to go to the board yet. So if we had made a motion and a vote on it, then the board would be alerted by it. And we just want to talk about it first.
Yep.
Okay. Down to minutes. Anyone with issues on the minutes? Okay, minutes are then accepted. Report was submitted to the board. I think we know for the next agenda that we'd want to add one item on there is going to be the local preference discussion. We'll have something to talk about then.
We'll also want to hear more about what came up at the December 10th workshop on the policy.
Yes, because our meeting's on the 11th, so the day before will be the workshop, will be the first vote.
First, right.
Yeah, yep. And so we'd want to hear about that. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, 2 meetings ago in September, we voted down an item. I think it was the pre-construction services for core construction. Yes. And I believe I've seen that back on the agenda. I wonder what's happening with that.
We haven't been able to bring it back yet. We're still negotiating and reviewing it.
All right, thank you.
Mr. Berger?
Yeah, Tom.
I will be on vacation on December 11th, so I'm asking for an excused absence.
Nah, not a vacation.
No. I mean, you can zoom in from the pool. I mean, come on.
I will be in Europe. If I can, I will.
No, enjoy your vacation. Don't do it. It's excused.
What a tough life.
These lawyers.
I just want to wish everyone a happy Thanksgiving.
Yes, same.
Happy holidays, everyone. May it be
all right.
And goodwill.
Anything from anyone else on the committee for today? All right. Thank you. We are adjourned.